This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Hey all you heroes and champions, crows, pirates, and inquisitors. Welcome to the Dragon Age Lorecast. I'm Shelby.
And I'm Austin.
And we are so excited to bring you this podcast. Every episode, we'll be talking about a different topic in the Dragon Age universe. From the Maker to Lyrium to Aravels, we will cover it all. There will be spoilers. And always remember, swooping is bad.
We have now talked about everything she says in that intro. I just want to throw that out there.
Have we talked about Aravels?
Briefly in Elven history. But anyway, I am Austin, or Teacup. I'm one of your co-hosts for this podcast.
And I'm Shelby, or Shecup.
Yeah, and we are here for our special patron chat, and we are here with our patrons, and I will let them introduce themselves. We're just going to go in order of what's on my screen. So we'll start with Derek.
Hi, I'm Derek, and I'm glad to be here.
All right, next is the one, the only, Kolkashin.
Hi, I'm Kolka, and I am very excited for today's topic.
All right. And last but not least, you can introduce yourself as our new patron to the chat for this month.
I don't know who these people are. They just picked me up off the street. It's me, the Patron.
And we're so glad that you are here as we are talking about what faction would you be a part of in Thedas. And, you know, we started making this list, and I was like, oh, there's not that many. No, there's a lot. There is a lot.
Do you want me to read some of the potential factions that they can choose from that I've listed out on the Patreon?
Yes. And if you, for some of them, if you could tell us like what they are, because as the chat proved earlier this week, we don't necessarily know who these people are.
Okay, here are some of the factions in Thedas. This is most of them. I don't want to call it an exhaustive list, but it's pretty close. So Grey Wardens, Mages, Templars, Dalish, Seekers, the Dwarven Merchants Guild, Antivan Crows, Mortalitasi. They're the death mages of Navarra. The Sentinel Elves are the ancient elves that we meet in DAI. Briala's Rebellion, we also meet in Inquisition. The Chevalier, which we also, actually, I think we see them in all three games, technically. The Chantry, the Imperial Chantry of Tevinter, the Carta and Coterie, both Dwarven factions. Oh, no, just the Carta. The Coterie is Kirkwall thing. The Friends of Red Jenny, the Chargers, the Council of Heralds, which is the group of nobles in Orlais that settle title and royalty disputes. The Lords of Fortune, they are a new faction. They are out of Ravane, I believe. So they're kind of basically pirates. The Blackstone Irregulars are a group from Origins, and they're basically just like a bounty hunter mercenary guild. The Mages Collective, similar to the Blackstone Irregulars, also from Origins, but specifically with mages. The Silent Sisters, which I think personally are the most goth of all the factions. They're a dwarven female faction. Legion of the Dead, basically the dwarven version of the Grey Wardens. The Kunari, the Talvashoth, the Agents of Solace, the Avar, the Blades of Hessarian, another mercenary group, the Chastened, which are just kind of wild people, the Executors, which is a very mysterious group we don't know much about, but we meet them in side missions and codex in Inquisition. The Lucerni, this is the group that Dorian and Maevaris start in Tevinter to kind of reform Tevinter. The Freemen of the Dales we meet in Inquisition. The Fog Warriors are a group of Tevinter-ish warriors. The Darkspawn, of course, can't forget them. I think we all know who Darkspawn are. Red Templars, the Shabratal, which we meet in the Descent DLC, the Venatori, and Sutherland and Company. And Sutherland is an NPC you can meet in Skyhold, and you can basically train him up via the war table to have his own company and become like a leader and stuff. So that's kind of a long list.
I have one thing to add.
Mhm.
The fact that you say the Silent Sisters are more goth than the Legion of the Dead. Excuse me, no.
They cut
No.
out their own tongues, dude.
No. Okay, yeah, maybe that, but like the Legion of the Dead, like they have the goth aesthetic.
Okay, but content is more important than aesthetic.
Is it though?
Yes.
Is it though? Is it though? Let's see for a minute. I mean, Hot Topic is still in business, so let's just stop there.
We're just gonna have to agree to disagree.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, let's open it up to which faction would you want to be a part of? Yeah, and then we'll go through and we'll talk about it. So who wants to start?
Before we start, I was going to also add, if there are other factions you want to choose from that I did not include on this list, totally feel free to do that.
I guess I'll go. I guess I chose the Archdemons mainly because they're not. I guess they're kind of a group, but they're a small group. But we've only met like 5 of them, and they've really created a great impact on Thedas as overall, especially as the Cups kind of explained, the Fourth Blight really cost Thedas a lot of deal damage, and still kind of overlasting happening. Even you could see it in the present games. The Archdemons are, particularly, I recently read the Last Flight, and it was pretty detailed and showing of how Andriel, was so massive and big, and just of how Galgariel killed him, and all the details of that was pretty fascinating. But it was a good book. But the detail about, or the fact that there might be a possible corrupted Tevinter old gods, but they might also be an elven gods too, is a possibility. Is pretty interesting. But I keep on thinking of one thing, and I don't know what you guys think, but like, we only have 2 left, and like, what would happen if they show up in the new upcoming game? Who knows?
Yeah, I was going to add, there are a lot of people who think that there might be a double blight coming, like in DA4 or DAD, or even if there's another Dragon Age game. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that, and I also don't know if they have a reason for thinking that there could be a double blight other than there's just 2 left. So I don't know, but it's something people talk about.
Right. I think it's unlikely there's a double blight, mainly because like the time between blights is so long. Like, Fourth Blight is what? Is it in the Blood Stage, or is it Towers?
No, the Towers Age is like the 3rd one.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't remember.
But I mean, there's centuries separating blights. So it's interesting. But I think, we're starting off strong by saying, okay, I want to join the Darkspawn.
Archdemons.
Archdemons. And so now I want, maybe Derek is the fabled 8th old god.
Answering the question of which faction do you want to join most with, I want to be a god, is
A god.
this thing I have heard all day.
Yeah.
Also, bring in the double blight. What if 2 of the old gods, archdemons, are buried right next to each other?
That's fair. It's possible.
Apparently, there's an old god prison under Wysop, which maybe, this new show that's coming out, The Absolution, which apparently is coming out this year.
In December.
It looks like they're in the Enderfell, so maybe we'll get some Wysop content.
Yeah, I know. It says that they're in Tevinter, but I really think that it looks like the Anderfells.
But yeah, so I now fully expect BioWare, if you're listening to this podcast, which I know that members of your Dragon Age team listen to this podcast, we're going to make Derek the 8th Archdemon, and I expect to see his face as a big bad in a future game. That's what I expect.
I'd buy that for $1.
You'd buy it for $1.
Only $1.
Yeah, thanks. All right, who wants to go next?
I want to hear what Wesbotron has to say.
All right. So I was going over the list, and because I am very Templar oriented, and I wanted to go. I really, really, really wanted to choose the Templars, and I had an actual defense as to why. But instead, I'm going to go something even better. Because what's better than a Templar? A super secret agent Templar. And so I joined the Seekers of Truth, but very specifically, the Seekers of Truth that were a part of the original Inquisition at the very beginning after the First Light. Honestly, I think that's probably them at the most important, is trying to restore order and, I guess, peace, if you want to call it that, at the very beginning, and just someone to keep everybody in check. And I'm going to use Mass Effect as a comparison, but they're essentially specters from what I've read. And it's just we can do whatever we want and get away with it, more or less. But I obviously wouldn't abuse that power at all.
Yeah, I think, well, now I have to think of a new answer because you stole mine. But I'm a big fan of the Seekers, and mainly because I think it's hilarious because the Seekers are just Templars with none of the downsides. Like, you get all of their powers, but none of the oh, I'm a drug addict.
You get none of the meth addiction.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And so and really they kind of make Templars irrelevant, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Like, the Seekers, they get all of the magic nullifying powers that Templars do. They're immune to possession,
which is just perfect.
They are basically
in Dragon Age.
They're basically appointed by spirits for their powers.
You don't even need Templars. Like,
right.
Why don't we have 2 Seekers at every circle, and they just let the people do what they want anyway?
I mean, I know that Cassandra, I wish they had made Cassandra her own little perk tree like they do in 2 for companions, because they just give her the Templar abilities, which she would have. But I want to watch her set someone who uses lyrium's blood on fire, because that's what she can do.
I want even just because I know that one of the DLCs, I think it's Trespasser, adds secondary upgrades to each ability. Or am I thinking of Dragon Age 2? But for Cassandra specifically, because she's a Seeker, she was trained as a different version of Templar to have a different sub-Templar skill tree. She gets this and other things.
Right. The Seekers are kind of when there's a crime and the state law enforcement has to call in the FBI, or the FBI shows up and be like, you're done, it's our job now. I don't know how that works, Holga Shins, but
that's accurate.
He's not a cop.
Well, he's the law.
I am the law.
I was gonna say, I think it's funny. My favorite character in Dragon Age and my least favorite character in Dragon Age are both Seekers. So there's that.
Are they both Cassandra?
No, my least no. I mean, my favorite character is Cassandra. My least favorite character is Lord Seeker Lambert himself.
I thought he was your favorite character.
No, false. Incorrect. Have you listened to any of the episodes of this show?
Well, you seem to bring him up in every episode.
I know.
I think Wesbotron is trying to pursue a rivalry friendship with everyone.
Listen, I like to play both sides, okay?
Saying that to a lawyer.
So did Grand Cleric Elthina, and look what happened to her.
She died. She did.
That sounds like a threat, Austin.
I tell you, she did.
DED dead.
Thanks for sharing.
I was also going to say the Seekers, but I'm not anymore. But first, let me tell you why I was going to say the Seekers. One, because I thought Wesbotron was going to say Templars, and then I was going to be like, I'm going to be your boss. Also, 2, I enjoy applying rules to other people that don't necessarily pertain to me. That being out of the way now, I can embrace my true love, which is the mages. Give me the power of the elements at my fingertips. Let me heal people from the brink of death. Let me make people explode like with a timer bomb. Let me do everything else, amazing things. Oh God, I would love it. I don't think I would survive in a circle though. I would definitely have to be an apostate, run away like Anders did, as much as I hate him. Or better yet, just be a hawk the whole time and be trained by a parent or something. So I'm like, I never had to deal with all of that. I'm still a badass. It'd be amazing. That's me. Okay.
You just roll a 20 on your deception every time.
Yeah, Kogoshins, I love you and you're my friend, but I don't think you would pass your harrowing because they know 100% you would fall to a desire demon.
No. No. We're going to talk about what demon I would fall to at our next Patreon episode, maybe, if people vote for that.
Yeah.
But it would not be to a desire demon. And I would totally pass my harrowing because the harrowing test was so obvious. Yeah, it's the dude who's helping you the most and is being so weird. Don't trust him. Who trusts Mouse? Not me.
But what if it was shirtless
and
Iron
7
Bull?
trusted Mouse.
I know. I told him not to. I also told him not to trust Jowan. How'd that work out for him?
He's just a very trusting man, okay? But what if it was Iron Bull, but without a shirt?
I don't know. If I know it's my harrowing, I'm gonna know he's not supposed to be there, and I would want to be a mage much more than anything like that.
Because I
Do you want to be a mage enough to be a Cerebas?
That's in the opposite direction. Because it's like
That's why I'm
if
asking.
if the only mage you could be is a slave mage, a traumatized slave mage, would you want to do that? No. What do you think about the mages, though?
So, based on my playthroughs, every mage I've played has dabbled into blood magic because it's just simple and convenient and OP. So, if my character, me, who would never be tempted by the dark side, gets tempted by the dark side, by that logic, every mage would get tempted by the dark side, and therefore, the circle is needed.
Even Wynn dabbles in blood magic?
Listen, she is a saint. She is the exception.
Wynn is
I
possessed.
mean, she is an abomination, technically.
She's possessed.
No, but I wouldn't say that was blood magic, though. She's not using her blood.
I think people would say that being an abomination is worse than using blood magic.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is.
It's different, though, right?
It is different.
Okay.
Barely.
It's a worse evil. Let's go.
What about Bethany?
Oh, she died.
So you choose a mage hawk?
Always.
Okay, okay, because it is canon. Okay.
Austin is sad.
I don't know if you saw my list, but Bethany's tied for 1 with Barrick.
Why?
Why would you start this?
Well, 1, so I love Mage Hawk. But this is not relevant. I love Mage Hawk, but I hate Carver more than anything.
Fair.
That was the worst.
I cannot stand his interactions. And even when you do the parent quest and you give him the thing that you're oh, you might like this because you're my brother and you care about our family. He's like, thanks, you suck. I hate you. Let me go join the group that's trying to hunt my brother down.
You're just doing this because you have to.
Yeah.
So surly and churlish.
Me for the mages. And this kind of goes I have a hard time picking because there's no good faction to join in Thedas because they all have these huge sides. Well, except for the Seekers, really, which is why
I disagree. I definitely disagree with that statement.
But almost all of them have okay, yeah, these are great. Oh, here's this terrible thing that happens to you.
Beans.
So that's where I'm at with the mages. Yeah, their power is cool, but unless you want to be a criminal on the run or grow up with, I'd be a mage if I got to be tutored by Flemeth and the Chasen, or an Avar mage where they're basically oh, you want to be possessed by spirits? Cool.
What about the Mortalitasi?
They're just blood mages who don't want to say
But
it's
they're
magic.
outside of Templar control, though.
Are they outside of Templar control?
I thought they were.
They're part of the Chantry. I'm sure they with all their work with spirits, I'm sure they have to be regulated by something.
I don't think we know enough about Navarra to have an answer to that question yet.
But like Navarra's super chantry. Like,
Isn't the Navaran circle the one where like they let families stay with them?
No, that's Ravane.
Ravane.
Well,
Thank you.
that circle doesn't exist anymore.
I think there's more than one in Ravane.
Oh.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you're in Ravane, because they culturally have a much healthier relationship with magic than most of Thedas. So
Also, I mean, it is a valid complaint. It took me far longer than I would like to admit to recognize and admit to myself that there were some deep, not systematic, but baked in problems with the Kirkwall circle. I don't think that was entirely the circle's fault. Some of it was, a lot of it was not. But regardless, anybody in Thedas has to accept the reality that mages do pose an inherent threat, and it is a threat that is only contained and held back by their willpower, which in my mind, it's kind of like, why are you treating them like second class when it's you're handling somebody who has the potential of becoming a bomb, but doesn't necessarily have to be one. So just why not treat them with as much kindness and support as possible, so to try to eliminate any risk of giving in to temptation. I feel like the Templars to a degree kind of guarantee their own failures at certain points in time.
it's that self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing. The thing you're afraid of most and trying to avoid is what you actually end up causing.
Right.
And I think that's part of it. I think part of it is the fact that Knight Commander Meredith comes in and has a specific agenda, because like we do get examples of like Templars actually like creating some semblance of a fair and just like system. Like Gregor, for example, he does call for the right of annulment, but he's like, okay, like if you have a chance to do this without it being that I have to kill everyone, yeah, I'm going to take that. And that's basically what he tells Cullen, is like, no, we're not going to kill all of them. You're dumb. Go away.
Valid.
And so there are examples of Templars having like patience and kindness to mages. It's just a thing about like, just because there are a few examples of good Templars doesn't mean that there's not a systemic issue with them. And that's kind of where it comes into that. And so like, it's ironic because like if Anders had stayed in the Ferelden circle, he might have died with Uhtred's like whatever. But if he had stayed there and been raised, he probably would have had a different experience than him fleeing to Kirkwall and having to experience it all there.
If Anders had stayed in Ferelden, he 100% would have been killed by the hero of Ferelden in the whole Uhtred thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like 100%.
Right. And like, I think if he had stayed with the Grey Wardens, I think it would have been different. But I don't think the Grey Wardens fit with Anders' personality at all, either Awakening or 2.
Well, we'll get into more Anders stuff like in 2 months.
Imagine if somebody made a mod that puts Anders in the Broken Circle quest and has some encounter with him where he gets possessed by a demon and then you can kill him. That would be so satisfying.
That would be very interesting. I'm sure it exists.
All right. So, all right, well, let's go to the breakdown.
Enchantment? Enchantment!
You need me.
Ugh.
I am yours as always.
All right, welcome to the middle of the show where I talk about all things that don't have to do with the lore of this podcast. And so this is where I tell you that we have a Discord server that you can come and join and hang out with us and talk to us and get into fights with Patron. You can do all of that in our Discord server, which you'll find in the episode description link. You can come out, hang out, talk to us about the Dragon Age Lorecast, the Assassin's Creed Lorecast, my other podcast, the Holocron Histories podcast. You can come talk about all of those things, hang out with us, see tons of pictures of dogs, talk about anything. Watch She Cup here stream The Sims with her Dragon Age households. It'll be awesome. We can all do that. And yeah, so join the Discord. You can also join the Robots Radio Discord, which if you join there. You can find all kinds of video game podcasts, all about video games from all different shapes and sizes. And you can have a lot of fun there. That link is also in the episode description. It's also this time that I thank our patrons, as such as the ones that we have here, and all of our patrons who support the show. And we will read the list of our first patrons who get read out every episode of the show. And so that is Lisa M, Genesis, Derek B, and Zuba. And if you wish to become a patron and join us on this awesome episode and come talk about things Dragon Age and different topics, you can sign up for Patreon. You can find the link also in the episode description. You can also join at any tier and vote on the topic that we discuss here. Other than that, you can also like and rate us on Spotify and Apple. If you leave us reviews with words, we will read them on a future episode of the show. Shelby, I think we do have a review to read today.
Also, big thank you to Patron, who is our newest patron. Thanks for joining us. We're glad to have you here. And our review is from Lizzie B003. And Lizzie says, a podcast that speaks to my soul. I found you guys a bit later, so I'm only about halfway through everything you guys have put out now, but I'm in love. It's the perfect thing to bridge the gap between replaying all the games and the what feels like forever wait for the next game in the series. I find myself listening to the podcast anytime I'm in the car or at the gym. You guys definitely know your stuff, and not only has it made me replay the games again, but I finally started reading the books as well. Plus, it's super nice to have people who enjoy the universe and can talk about it, even if you aren't directly talking with me about it, especially since my fiance is taking his sweet time to finish the game. Disgusted noise. I appreciate all the hard work you guys put into the podcast and the high quality content that you produce. Thank you so much for all you guys do. And thank you, Lizzie, so much for this great review.
I can empathize with waiting for your partner to finish the games.
I played them.
You did. You did play them.
Or are you referring to Assassin's Creed?
Well, that too. There are just memes I want to share with you, and I can't.
Now you're talking about Aragon.
Yes, the Aragon memes are fire right now.
Well, let's get back to the show.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for your review. You can also review us and we'll read them out. And yeah, let's get back to it.
Well, that was Orlesian. Dareth Shiraz.
You fear barbarians will swoop down upon you.
Yes, swooping is bad.
So, Austin, do you want to go first in sharing what group you would be a part of, or which one you like most, or whatever?
So I can go first. The group that I would join probably the Legion of the Dead is probably the one that I would want to be a part of, because at first I thought Grey Wardens, but then, like I said earlier, there's always downside. I don't want the fact that, oh, I'm just going to be dead and like I have this poison in my body. And someday in the future, I don't know when, I'll either die to the archdemon or I'll die to the calling. And so, and now, you know, some Teventer Magister from 1,000 years ago could just poof in and be like, hey, you got the calling now. No, just don't like that. So I picked the Legion of the Dead because you don't have any of that. You don't have the blight if you're part of the Legion of the Dead. I also just like their like ability to move beyond like the caste system and like find honor, like especially for one of my biggest frustration with the Dwarven Society is there's no way to like, if you're born a certain caste, there's no way to like move about that caste without like marrying someone else of a caste. And so I like the fact that in the Legion of the Dead, it's kind of a group that said, none of that matters. We're all the same. And every Legion of the Dead member we've met is just badass.
I agree. The Legion of the Dead is also really cool. So now we know why you had such an emotional response to me saying the Silent Sisters were the most goth earlier.
Yes. And I can't remember, for some reason his name has fallen out, but I really like the Legion of the Dead member in the Descent DLC.
Lieutenant Ren.
Ren. I knew it was an R. I love Ren, and you can't tell me he doesn't have a gothic aesthetic.
I didn't say the Legion of the Dead weren't goth. All I said was that the Silent Sisters are more goth.
Yeah.
They literally cut out their own tongues.
That's true.
Maybe they're more emo.
That's fair. The Legion of the Dead, they just have a funeral for themselves, and that's it.
I respect the Legion of the Dead choice, and it totally makes sense. The instinct to be like, oh, I want to be a Grey Warden. It's like, do you want to essentially give yourself almost some equivalent of like terminal cancer as soon as you join, because that's what you're doing. You're swallowing a time bomb. But I also respect the Legion of the Dead so much because it's so easy to say like, I'm embracing death. I'm already dead. But to actually follow through with that and be like, I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid of that pain, or, to actually face my own mortality. I have 100%, accepted it already. I've been through this. I am already dead. Bring it on.
Right. And there's also not the risk of dying by trying to join the Legion of the Dead.
My thoughts, because Warden was my third pick, and I'd only ever join the Wardens if there was a blight. I wouldn't ever join the Wardens in a time of peace for that exact reason. It's like, if I'm joining the Wardens, I want it to be for a specific reason, not just to say I'm a Warden and then eventually fall over in a ditch somewhere.
But if you join the Wardens in a time of peace, you're probably not going to get like killed by the Darkspawn.
What a more glorious way to go out, though.
You never know when
And who knows? What if I'm the one who kills the Archdemon?
You never know when a blight is going to start, though. So I would say, like, dedicating your life to this potential threat is still honorable. Mm-hmm. And, the Grey Wardens who were already Grey Wardens by the time a blight actually does start are probably some of their most valued members.
I agree with that.
I see your point. I would just personally not want to partake until there is one. Because my luck, the blight wouldn't actually kill me, or the taint wouldn't actually kill me until the blight starts, and I'd miss everything. That's just, I'm unlucky that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a warden just during a peaceful point in the Thedas history without a blight, because of the possibility of just living through my life and having to go to the harrowing. That would suck.
Like, what would we do? Just chill in the deep roads for 30 years?
Right.
I'm not a dwarf.
So anyway, that's mine.
Respect. Can I pick two?
If you want.
Okay.
This is your podcast.
Technically it's our podcast, but we'll go with it. So, the first, actually, let me preface. So I very much am the kind of person, I want to support the little guy. I always root for the underdog. That's just kind of my MO. So both of these groups are kind of also doing that. So the first one I would want to join, this was kind of like my B choice, is I would totally join Briala. Like, if I was a city elf, and my hero of Ferelden canon is a city elf, so I liked Briala. But if I was a city elf, I would 100% support her, because no one else is supporting you. Like, there's no one who cares about the city elves. And then you have this person who wants to make life better for you. I would jump at the opportunity to support that. But I do think my real answer, if I had to narrow it down to one, and this is kind of shocking, Austin, I think you're going to be surprised, because I don't like the person we associate the most. Well, I don't love the person that we most associate with this group, but I think I would want to be part of the Friends of Red Jenny, because they are all about being chaotic, but also rising up the little people, like farmers and people who don't have any power and people who just are living their everyday lives trying to survive. They're all about raising them up and not caring about people in power and like the nobles and wealthy people who hurt the little people. They want to go against and fight against those people that hurt others. And I see myself in that a lot. So I think I would want to join the Friends of Red Jenny, even though I think it would be absolutely miserable to work with Sarah. But
it doesn't surprise me at all that you want to join the Friends of Red Jenny.
Okay. But yeah, working with Sarah will be a nightmare. Like, I stand by that statement. She's so chaotic. Imagine Sarah being your boss, and then like you've been working there for a year and you go in for a performance review with Sarah. Like, she can't even remember what happened 3 days ago, much less 6 months, you know.
Don't you think some of that is an act, like, so she is underestimated?
I mean, I do agree with that. And I also think she underestimates herself, but she's still chaotic and disorganized, and I stand by the statement that it would be a nightmare to work with her.
Both respectable factions.
I could never work under Sarah. I would die. It's day 2.
As long as she just let me do my own thing, we'd be fine. We'd be all good.
That's what you say about, in real life, that's what you say about every boss you've ever had.
I mean, if they just let me do my own thing, I wouldn't have any issues.
I have an admission to make. The number of times I've taken Sarah out into the field with me, and probably all of my Dragon Age playthroughs combined, could potentially be under, might be able to count it on 2 hands, maybe 4 hands at most, over however long the game's been out.
Oh, I can count it on one finger. How many times I've used her.
I definitely respect the Brialas, joining Briala's rebellion. It is definitely very satisfying, identifying, structures and system of oppression, and then being like, I want to burn that down, especially when you are a cog in that wheel. And that would just be so cathartic and fulfilling.
Also, you guys, you do know that Sarah's the best rogue in the party.
This is true.
Well, I don't want another, range character.
Do you not play Knight Enchanter?
I mean, I am, but
You see, my problem is that I'm the best rogue in my Inquisition party.
That's fair.
Because
There's
I
no
play
need for more than one.
I play Archer, which eliminates Varric also. And I really don't have room for another rogue because I play in harder difficulties, and having 2 squishy rogues is the absolute worst.
Yes.
Canonically, should Cole not be the best rogue?
Yeah, but he sucks. He dies all the time.
Canonically, not mechanically.
Oh, he's so bad though.
Really make people not see him. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like, if you don't, it depends on how you build Cole. And like, if you can get him around with, and this is real mechanical, if you give him the dual daggers that cause an area of an effect damage instead of like the stabby daggers, it's a little better because he'll be able to like branch, but you really need to like make sure like the abilities he has slotted are a lot of his assassin abilities, which like, that's what I found with Cole, is that if you just let the AI level him up, he's useless. It's the same with Cassandra. Like, you need to build Cassandra as a 2-hand warrior if you want to get the most out of her.
I'm offended.
I'm right.
Oh, I build my Cassandra full Guardian. Not Guardian. There's whatever the not specialization version of, just give her max guard, go standing, spam taunt.
Yeah, the problem is that Black Wall with Champion is just superior to that. I've never seen that man die.
Never.
Nope.
Well, you clearly haven't watched me play then.
I fought a dragon where for 45 minutes was just Black Wall and the dragons smacking each other, and his guard bar never dropped below half.
Before I got mods, my go-to way of killing dragons was to have a full mage party. So that way, like, you can, as soon as the barriers wear off, somebody else has them ready to go, and then you're just constantly protected.
I never thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't play with mods though, so
everybody gets Fate Touch Silverite.
Oh yeah. You can also just use the duplicate trick on console. But yeah.
I know how to do that in Awakenings and in Origins, but I don't know how to do that. And in DA2, but I don't know how to do it in Inquisition.
It's actually easier in Inquisition than any other game.
Really?
Why don't you tell them? Because I don't remember the name of the tools.
You basically just put whatever item you want in storage, and then you hit the retrieve and stash button at the same time. So you have to be at Skyhold to do it, but
That's not bad. Does the storage have to be otherwise totally empty?
no.
Okay.
Makes it easier and faster for you to do it, but especially if you're trying to like duplicate a really expensive item so you can get a bunch of gold. But
Thank you.
Hacks with the cups.
so just briefly, because we're kind of running out of time here, let's just go quickly and I'll start. But the faction you don't want to be a part of, absolutely not. And for me, and I think Shecup's gonna be mad because I'm gonna steal hers. Mine is the Chevaliers, because they are basically just Orlay's version of frat bros who peaked in high school.
The faction I would never want to be a part of would be the Red Templars. I have my opinions as to why I think Templars are necessary, but the Red Templars just kind of go against everything about my opinion and views on the Templars themselves. Also, they're all meth addicts. So
to join it like as an adult, the one I would at least want to be part of is the Kunari. I would die. But I guess this kind of also plays in as an adult. But other than that, though, like I know as you know, you're born a darkspawn, but to me, what's even worse than that though is being turned into a brood mother. That would be the worst in my book.
All right. Kokushin stole mine. Not the darkspawn, but I think the worst I would not want to be in is probably, I would have to still go with the Kunari. I would not survive in that society.
That's fair. I think mine is the Venatori. Like, I can deal with Templars. I can handle all of that. Like, I disagree with them, but I agree. Wesbo, they are still a little bit necessary at times. But the Venatori, and even if you are someone who believes what the Venatori believe, that like Tevinter slavery isn't wrong and like Tevinter had its heyday back in the past and we need to bring that back. Even if you're a person who believes that, that's still vastly different from joining a cult that wants to enslave the entire world and then collaborates with a sentient darkspawn who claims to be 1,000 years old. To me, that's just too far. It's just too far.
I have a question.
For me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cut out Corypheus. What if the Venatori come to you and say, we want you to be our leader? Will you tell us what to do? Will you be our prophet? Would you do it then?
I the only reason I would think about it is so that I could destroy them from within. And take their money. Like, we can steal their stuff. But yeah, probably not. Austin says I'm not a very good liar, so they'd probably see right through me.
No, it's just that you can't not say what you think.
I mean, I can.
As the prophet, you could.
That's true.
It's not that I can't like not say what I think. It's that I can't control my facial expressions like that.
And that's like the thing with the Venatori that always baffles me is that, and I know that you could get her to like turn, but like, how does Calpurnia like be okay with working with the Venatori?
Childhood trauma.
Yeah, I think it's a trauma, and also I think that some of the mages that kind of mentored and nurtured her as a young mage were part of the Venatori.
Yeah. Well, thank you all. I think that's all we got for this episode. Fun. Good to talk to you all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was fun. I enjoyed talking to people.
Oh, and if you guys want to plug like where people can find you, if you have, I don't know if any of you guys have podcasts or streams or anything you're doing, but if you want to plug any of that, you can too.
I don't have anything to plug because I'm not the very special, or I don't have the creative talent to do any of that stuff. But I'm on this Discord. I'm very active. Just joined it a couple days ago, and I'm feeling right at home. I have really great takes on everything, and I really hope to make lots of friends along the way.
You can find me on Instagram at Perfect poultry portraits. During the day, I'm an artist, so I find my work mostly on there. I'm also on Discord, but I spend most of my time trying to paint. So try to show up once in a while to chat, but that's me.
I also have nothing to plug, but I would just like to say how much I appreciate the cups and Derek and Wes Patron and everyone in the Discord.
So what I'm hearing is join the Discord. The episode is the link is in the episode description. But yeah, so thank you all for coming, and thank you for listening, and thanks for listening to Dragon Age Lorecast, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Dragon Age Lorecast. As always, you can find us on Twitter at DA Lorecast. If you have any lore questions, topics to unpack, or side character suggestions, email them to us at daLorecast@gmail.com. The Dragon Age Lorecast is a part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club. You can join the Robots Radio Network Discord by clicking the link in our episode description. If you enjoyed our show, we'd love it if you'd subscribe and give us a review. See you next time.
Do you love Dragon Age? Have you always wanted to learn more about its vast world and detailed lore? Are you still attached to your hero of Ferelden, even a decade after Dragon Age Origins came out? Or maybe you're a newer fan, still discovering a new tidbit or quest every day.
Well, either way, the Dragon Age Lorecast is the podcast for you. I'm Austin, also known as Teacup.
And I'm Shelby, also known as Shecup.
And come and join us as we embark on a journey to explore and discover all things Dragon Age.
We'll discuss all kinds of topics, from Lyrium to the Chantry and the great mysteries of the old gods, and even more that even you BioWare superfans might not know about.
So come and listen on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast. And always remember,
swooping